Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Geek Yogurt Presents Signals from the Cave. I am Nok,
And I'm Rah.
and this is primarily going to be Batman based because we both love Batman.
Yay!
One more than the other.
One more than the other.
Well, I'm the other guy. I'm the guy that's likes the guy that stole all of the names from Batman. You know, like the Arrow Cave and the Arrow Car and the Arrow Wing.
Well, let's be clear. I mean, in this sort of supplement to the Geek Yogurt podcast, it's more for a bend towards the type of storytelling that, say, the DC universe, current DC universe is about,
Yep.
or even the current DC TV universe is about, which is sort of more of a Nolan-esque, realistic take on what would life be like if superheroes were around today. That doesn't mean to say that Marvel can't produce programs like that, which we have referenced before, Daredevil being one of them on Netflix, which is one I really like. But in the same vein as say, the Batman v Superman movie going to come out, or the Nolan Batman movies, it's more of a what if this happened in our world, how would people handle it? That's the brand of storytelling that I like, and that's why this supplement is being made.
Right.
There's sort of a bend towards that.
Right, without the hour-and-a-half long arguments from Wave.
And believe me, this is also not meant to alienate anybody, because those other types of shows and comics,
Yep.
like one of our podcast mates is fond of referencing to, like S.H.I.E.L.D., Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., or even comic books like The Invincible Squirrel Girl or something like that.
Yeah.
Those type of things, they have their place, but as I've stated in the podcasts, it's sort of not my cup of tea. So I don't know about you, Nok, but I don't gravitate towards those types of things.
I'm in and out, man. When it comes to the original Green Arrow, he mostly went into fights with street thugs and corrupt politicians and corporations. So I kind of lean towards the same thing you do.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we kind of have the same mindset when it comes to the Batman universe. So
Okay. Well, I guess this initial introduction to this is going to be mainly centered around Gotham, but it could be around anything that, has that same sort of bend. Like I said, when Marvel Daredevil Season 2 comes out, I wouldn't be surprised if this was added as part of the subject matter of this particular supplement.
well, even if we get into the comic books themselves, we want to talk about the newest Scott Snyder book,
Yep.
or any other Batman book that we read recently, and we want to talk about that.
Sure.
We can do that too. So it's pretty much Batman themed, but we're going to center around the Nolan-esque verse.
Right. So it's a hanger-on to the Geek Yogurt podcast, if you will. A supplement to that, in case you want a little bit more expansion on some of the things that we talk about on.
Let's be honest, we're just riding our own coattails.
Well, all right, let's jump right into it then. I think if you're taking a look at our Facebook site, I've posted an article about last week's episode, not this week, being what was it, 8/13. That would have been yesterday's episode of Gotham.
So
but the week previous to that,
That was
8/6.
the Joker.
that was
Or-
the Jerome.
sorry, it's not Joker. He's clearly not the Joker, even though he
Right.
dies with a rictus grin.
It's called Last Laugh, I think the episode's called.
Yeah.
And if you notice, I posted an article about why that happening for the show is both good and bad.
Did you write the article, or is this something that you read?
It's something that I read.
Was it on, what was that site
Blaster.
normally? Blaster, yes.
Yeah. And some parts of it I did disagree with. Some parts I thought were very intuitive. Mainly being that the actor handling the Jerome Velasic character, I think that's his name.
Sure. I'm just going to go with Jerome.
Yeah, did a great job. I think he did a great job with the TV incarnation of it, as being a genesis of something that we know is coming. Let's be clear, he was not the Joker. It was never the writer's intentions for him to be the Joker. It was never posited by the creators of the show that he would eventually become the Joker.
But
we all
that's-
find that out in aftermath interviews of that episode.
Right, that's what we find out afterwards by the creators and the actor himself. But he portrayed the Joker. He portrayed a dumbed down version of Heath Ledger's Joker.
And I have to disagree with you there, Nok. He did not portray a Joker. He portrayed something systematic of Gotham, which I think has been a running theme since episode 1, is that there's an underlying madness, an underlying twistedness, an underlying evil to the city that, for those who are not, shall we say, lack of a better term, pure of heart, it can seep in and corrupt you. And we've seen that, throughout the show's history.
But he was a carny. He was not originally from Gotham. The circus stopped in Gotham, and that's just where his mother died. That's where he killed his mother, and that's pretty much where his father planted his roots. But Jerome's character didn't originate from Gotham.
You don't have to be originally from there.
So you just have to be there for an hour or two, and
it's just like any kind of infectious disease. You can be exposed to it for 10 minutes, or you can be exposed to it for 10 years. It doesn't matter as long as you're exposed, and if you're susceptible, then you're corruptible, then you're tainted. So this is the whole impetus for Gordon's character. It's like he's hip deep in this cesspool that is this city, and when is his tolerance going to wane? And we've seen a little bit of that in the most recent episode, Strike Force, where he's addressing, the writers are addressing this type of thing where, sure, he may be doing good, and sure, these things, are starting to bubble to the surface, but at some point, he even says himself, he'll take whatever's coming to him. Because he knows for a moment he let his guard down, and something got inside of him. He was able to make that bargain, when before he's been very self-righteous. And this is the thing about that Wave reaches to this point with the show, is like Jim Gordon has been very, very self-righteous in this series.
Right. He's
always been the holier-than-thou character, and I think that's partly by design. I mean, we're supposed to take this good person with good intentions and see what happens when you put him in a room with Harvey Bullock, or you put him in a room with Maroney, or you put him in a room with all these people. That's all tests to his immunity, his sort of nobility immunity, and you can get sick, but you can recover.
Outside of Bruce Wayne, has there been an uncorrupted person? Harvey Bullock is kind of in the middle. He'll do bad things for the greater good, but he's not completely unclean. And then you have Maroney, who's completely dirty, and pretty much the rest of the cast that he's gone against so far have been dirty, soiled, corrupted by Gotham. Have you seen a character outside of Bruce Wayne and maybe Lee Thompson that has not been corrupted yet?
I think that's because with any Gotham or Batman-centered property, Bruce has to remain that sort of center that everything kind of revolves around. And for better or for worse, you're never going to see him, I think, give in to that sort of thing and make the compromise. Now, I might be wrong here, but I can't put my finger on any episode where he's done something horrendous and then said, okay, I'll just live with it.
Right.
Leah Thompson is, in a way you can argue, doing that every time she sees Jim go over the line.
She's kind of his moral compass.
Yeah, I mean, because she knows she did something bad, even though he doesn't explain it to her. He knows he did something bad, was involved in something bad in order to get his job back. But if she was of the same, say, integrity as Gordon was, she would say, I can't be with you because you've done this, and move on.
Right.
So in her own way, she's allowed herself to be corrupted. But I don't think anyone other than Bruce, as you were saying, you can make that claim for.
Right.
So, what did you think of this most recent episode?
Strike Force? I thought it was pretty good. I thought it got away from the uncleanliness that I see in Gotham, the show itself, not the city, because with the first half of the first season, it was pretty much villain of the week, and I think season 2 has it started off that way, and then it finally gravitated more towards the police procedural and what I want to see in the show. So I like it so far.
I mean, yeah, I can see what you're saying there because, like in the same vein that I was saying that Gordon is always being tested and being good. As an audience, as a viewer, there's only so much you can take before you're like, that guy's got to go down.
Right.
So the introduction of the Strike Force team and spoilers here, of them being fresh cadets, and even the insertion of Michael Chiklis's character being this like sort of like rallying banner around
Right.
This like we're gonna clean up Gotham stuff, which was Gordon's shtick about
Right.
about a quarter of the way into the first season. I think gives you another fresh place to latch onto because Gordon has been a little bit touched by some of that dark.
He's starting to wane, and then Chiklis's
Yeah.
character comes in and says, "We're cleaning up Gotham. You're coming with me, Gordon. We're going to get fresh cadets, untouched, straight out of the academy. Literally straight out of the academy. They handed him a badge, and then Gordon and Chiklis, I don't remember Chiklis's character's name.
I can't remember either.
They go through the entire graduating class and pick out, 5 or 6
It's
different...
4 of them, yeah.
Okay, 4 different recruits, cadets, to start the strike force with. And I think one of them gets killed or severely injured
No.
with the...
No, it doesn't. No, none of them
Who
get
got
hurt.
shot by Zazz?
They got shot by Zazz, but the vest caught
Oh,
it.
by the way, Zazz is back.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome character.
Yeah, he's utilized really well in the series. I think, even though he's not the traditional knife wielding psycho that Zazz is from the comics, I
Right.
think for this series he's utilized well, which is for me an okay break from canon.
Zazz is one of the characters that I can get behind being in this show, because he should be one of the older characters, along with Penguin and Riddler and Gordon. These are the villains that I want to see in the way back, when at the beginning of Bruce's life, going towards Batman.
Right.
So I'm happy to see Zazz and Penguin. Riddler, yes, in season 2. No, in season 1, because he was always making those riddles. He was always doing jokes. He tried to be the Riddler before the Riddler was put together. He should stay Edward Nygma right now and work up to Riddler later.
Well, that's part of the thing with the series writing itself about halfway through, at like the mid-season break of season 1. It's like they took a look at what they were doing, and they realized that they introduced Dent. I mean, they introduced all these people.
Did Dent come in already? Did I miss
by
that?
season 1? Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I think by
that was
about the
towards
midway
end.
through.
I still haven't seen the end of season 1.
I think it's about midway through that he comes in. But that's the thing, is like, that's what I like about shows that are self-aware. They knew enough to stop, pump the brakes a little bit. Let's stop Cat slinking around.
Right.
Let's stop, Riddler really losing his marbles every episode, or being really heavy-handed with a lot of the references, and really focus on the things that were really working on the show. Penguin, mob bosses, and Gordon finding a way to deal with them without having to lose himself in the process.
Right.
And I think they did that by the end. Say what you want about the ogre and about Barbara Gordon, all that crap. The way we've always talked about
King.
it is that
Barbara King.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Barbara King. Yeah.
Don't want to get people confused.
That's right, because even I'm confused sometimes. We said when it came down to it, those segments only represent maybe 10% of the show, 15% of the show. The rest of the stuff was good mob police procedural towards the end. And I think starting off this season, they've kept the focus where it needs to be. Penguin's organization, how it's functioning, a pseudo mob boss with a new guy coming in trying to run to be mayor, and how Gordon is going to handle it, knowing that he's a little bit, 1 foot in the grave now.
Right.
And even though the Maniac started out the show, I mean, the big premise of this season is that more often than not, evil's going to win, and Gordon's going to just have to deal with it. So I think with having it open with Jerome and having his death vault the main character into a position of power, which I'm willing to admit, I had my OCP moment from the RoboCop movies when they showed the city of glass. I mean, I was like, we've been there, done this for like 4 movies. So what's going on here? So that was a little bit disappointing, but I like how they catapulted him with the death of a season 1 character.
Right.
So I thought that was good.
He was a pseudo low-level character, but it worked. And he used... had he not killed Jerome at the end of last week's episode, I'm sure his plan was to use Jerome to boost him into the mayoral candidacy instead of going to the Penguin. But things changed. Jerome got off his leash and had to be put down, more or less.
Well, I think he was used. Jones was used. I don't know that he was had to be put down because he got off his leash. I mean, I don't think he was doing anything that wasn't expected of him, because the plan was for him to sow chaos. But I think the way they did it by taking this character that everybody was convinced was going to be the Joker and killing him off did an amazing job at saying, we know what we want to do with this show. We have doubters. Hopefully some of you have been put to rest with this in terms of there are special characters that can't die. Because now, even though they have named Cobblepot, and we've discussed this before, I think no one is really safe on the show unless their name happens to be Bruce, Alfred, and maybe Gordon. I think everybody else is up for grabs, whether they're named or not. They can be sent away, they can disappear, they can be shot, they can wear cement overshoes. However the show wants to get rid of them, I think they can be handled.
I think Bullock might be part of that too, because Bullock was always a loved character in the comics, also in the Batman animated series. So,
but none of that stuff matters.
Around,
none of that stuff matters. They don't care about canon. I mean, they're doing their own thing, which I've said from the beginning. So.
Pseudo their own thing. They're taking the ideas and putting a spin on them. It kind of reminds me of a mesh between Gotham Central and Batman. The Jeff Johns book, Earth 2, Batman Earth 2.
Okay.
It's a kind of mashup between those two for me.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's not bad, but it's not exactly what I'm looking for when it comes to a Gotham show.
Right.
But
I mean,
does.
That's the premise that I think a lot of people get wrapped around is like, it's Gotham, so therefore it must be Batman-centric and Bruce-centric, and that's just not what they're doing.
But that's the way they came across in the beginning.
In the beginning?
In the first half of season 1.
I think that's true because the emphasis was... I can see some support there. The emphasis was on solving the Wayne murder. That was like Jim's shtick. He's like, I'm gonna find him, Bruce, for you. I just need a little more time, and all that. Whatever that happens to be.
Then he gets fired. Oh, I can't work on this case anymore.
Yeah. I mean, but now I think it has legs of it on its own. And I just want to give a shout out too before we actually go off on a little end here. The closing shot of this Strike Force episode, I think was freaking brilliant. Where it's back to Cobblepot. He's sitting in his chair. He's shot in silhouette against the window. We've got this light pouring in from the outside, so you can't really make out his face. And he's just screaming into his fire. I mean, his profile is amazing. Great casting for
the actor that plays Cobblepot is
this version of the Penguin.
Job from him.
Yeah. I mean, it is really, really good. And I think it's also a good scene because it shows that even though for almost a full season, from mid-season to this season, we've sort of seen him sort of groom himself as this replacement mob boss, and every now and then he's had moments of insanity.
Right.
That shows him that he's still this rabid animal. He's really just wearing a mask of someone who's in control, and I think that scene we see very much similar to, I think it's episode 3, maybe 2, where he climbs out of the Gotham River and he gets into that van with that guy and rides out of town to regroup, and he just fucking stabs that guy in the throat over and over and over again. I mean, that reminded me of shades of that he's insane.
Yes.
He's, as much as we may want him to, posture and be like this mob boss, be the guy in charge of the Iceberg Lounge that we all know about, he's a fucking lunatic.
Yeah.
And so I think that closing shot, because when he's pushed, that's exactly what he is.
Right.
So I think that was really brilliant on their part to remind us of that.
Closing arguments?
Well, this is not really an argument. As much we're not arguing here as much as
That's
we're
the
just
thing. That's why we're doing this just the two of us.
I mean, and I'm not trying to say that this is a perfect show for Wave's sake. I mean, like there were things, the OCP moment in the Glass City, and Kat had to show up, land on a wall, backflip off it, and land on her feet. Now, come on, that's again back to that heavy-handedness of she's gonna be Catwoman. But I think overall, the storytelling has really rounded out itself. I mean, they're really focusing on all the things that make these characters interesting, and I think it's going in a new direction, reinvigorated by Michael Chiklis' character and the goody two shoe zealots of the Strike Force.
Right.
So I think I'm excited to see where it goes from here.
Okay. Well, that's it for this inaugural episode. Check back. We probably won't be doing this weekly, but we'll see what happens. It's kind of a fly by our seat of our pants type of thing right now.
Right.
So unless we get good reviews and lots of views, hinted, nudge, nudge, view, watch.
Yeah. Signals from the Batcave supplemental podcast from the Geek Yogurt podcast crew.